We all have expectations for our classroom and students. We have ideas of how students should behave and work, but sometimes we assume that they know how we want them to behave without explicit instruction. This section will help you understand PBIS and how to build classroom expectations with your students. All OMSD schools use PBIS for school-wide expectations. One critical belief of PBIS is that school-wide positive expectations and behaviors are defined and taught. The backbone of PBIS is that rather than establishing what not to do, schools define and teach the behaviors and expectations they want to see. Schools should identify 3 to 5 positively stated, easy to remember expectations. These should align with creating the kind of positive school climate the school wants to create. Anyone should be able to walk onto the school at any time and ask 10 random students to name the school-wide expectations. At least 80% of the time, those students should be able to say what they are and give examples of what they look like in action. Once you know these school-wide expectations, you will establish what these 3 to 5 expectations look like in your classroom. You'll have to decide how to address them, teach them, and maintain a classroom culture that supports these expectations. Here are some examples of school-wide PBIS matrices. As you can see, there are 3 to 5 traits the students are expected to exhibit when they are on campus. The matrix helps students to see how they will demonstrate that trait in different areas of the school. For example, the cafeteria, playground, hallways, restrooms, etc. If we look at the example on the left, we can see that to show that you are a respectful student at the lunch benches, you would keep your hands to yourself. Using the example from one of our middle schools on the right, a student shows empathy when they are entering or exiting the school by greeting others in a positive way, and they offer assistance to others when needed. Your school has already built their matrix. You will want to familiarize yourself with it so that you can support your students in learning the expectations outside of your classroom. Like stated before, once you know these school-wide expectations, you will establish what these 3 to 5 expectations look like in your classroom. You'll have to decide how to address them, teach them, and maintain a classroom culture that supports these expectations. When establishing the expectations, you can think to yourself, what do I want my class to look like, feel like, sound like? Think about the interactions you want your students to have with one another and yourself. Think about the volume that you want your students to use for each of the activities you are doing. Think about the general feeling that you want your class to have and the feeling that you want your students to experience. Since the word respect seems to be a common one at most sites, we will use it as an example on how to build expectations with your students. I would introduce a word a day for the first week. We discuss what we know about the word and what it means. Then we'd build classroom expectations together. On the next slide, you'll see a chart similar to the one I used with my upper elementary and middle school students. In small groups, they would discuss what being respectful looked like in the classroom, what it sounded like, and what it felt like, and what they hoped their teacher does to show respect to them and the whole class. Please use the text boxes on the next slide to add ideas that you hope to see in your classroom.